Hello guys, it's me Josh, aka Rich Film 3940 here once again, and the last video I did was my ranking of all three Avengers movies from my least favorite to my favorite. So now, after waiting for a few days, I decided to do my updated Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking once again, this time with Avengers Infinity War. Since AntMan and the Wasp is right around the corner, I might as well do it. So basically, I've said how many times how much I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how it's one of my favorite movie franchises of all time, and this year it celebrated its 10th anniversary because it's been around for 10 years, and 10 years is pretty good. 10 years and 18 previous movies led to Avengers Infinity War Part 1, and it's been pretty awesome here. Some movies I like more than others, even though I love all of them. One of them I don't love as much as everyone else does, but I will say that one is my least favorite of the entire MCU. But there's not a single bad Marvel Cinematic Universe movie to me. I think the MCU they do have a couple of missteps, but all the movies I really do like. And so we're going to rank all 19 films from worst to best. So this is how I'm going to do it. First, I'm going to go over each film, how more Rotten Tomatoes ranks the Marvel Cinematic Universe, explaining the critical consensus, what the audience grade is, what the critics score is. I was originally going to go over every single critical consensus for each movie, but I thought, no, what, I'm just going to get straight to the point. And then after I talk about each film in the MCU, I'm going to show a reaction that I did on my Stardust app. So you will be seeing those as we go over the course of the video. Now, if you get mad because I put a certain movie here and a certain movie there, please don't get upset with me. I'm willing to hear how you rank each of these movies in the comments down below before we start. I will also leave timestamps down below for each individual movie. So let's get started. Coming in number 19 is 66% with Thor: The Dark World, 67% at number 18 with The Incredible Hulk, and number 17 Iron Man 2 with 73%, 16 Avengers Age of Ultron at 75%, 15 is Thor at 77%, 14 is Captain America the First Avenger at 79%, 13 is Iron Man 3 with 80%, number 12 is Ant-Man with 82%, number 11 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at 83%, number 10 is Avengers Infinity War at 83%, number 9 is Captain America the Winter Soldier with 89%. Number 8 is Doctor Strange at 89%. Number 7, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 at 91%. Number 6, Captain America Civil War with 91%. Number 5, SpiderMan Homecoming with 92%. Number 4 is Avengers with 92%. Thor Ragnarok at number 3 with 92%. Number 2 is Iron Man with 94%, and at number 1 on Rotten Tomatoes list is Black Panther with 97%. Coming in number 19 is Thor Ragnarok, the third movie in the Thor trilogy. Now, when I first saw the movie, I was not a fan of it that much. I thought it was not the best Thor movie. I still hold dearly to that, but now it's grown on me, so I'm starting to like the movie a little more, but I still have problems with the way the comedy is being played out, the way the story is played, because for a movie with Thor dealing with saving his world from destruction, you think this would be the darkest of three, but there's a lot of comedy, and the comedy does work, and I did laugh in a lot of parts, but half of the time the comedy doesn't really play out the way you're supposed to. And also, I still think some choices could have been done better. You could have explained Sif's absence. I'm not trying to bring her into the movie and kill her, but explain her absences since she's on a TV show blind spot. Also, I thought I would still hate Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster. He is a great actor. I just didn't like the character. And the fight between Hulk and Thor is in the gladiatorial match was kind of unnecessary. But I do like the entertaining aspects. I still like Chris Hemsworth, Kate Blanchett as Hela was great. I like the visual effects. Seeing Hulk and Thor team up together was really cool. I like Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. And I do like the action department. I do like the music in here. And yeah, I'm starting to appreciate this, but this is still going to remain as my least favorite movie in the Thor trilogy. I can see why people love it. I don't love the film. I like the film, but I still have personal problems with the movie. I still don't think it's the best Thor movie. It still has problems, but I can watch the movie. I don't necessarily hate Thor Ragnarok. It does have its good moments, but unfortunately, this is the weakest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it is my least favorite film in the Thor trilogy. It does have good moments, but the good moments are overshadowed by the flaws that I unfortunately have with this movie, and therefore, it is a step down from the first two. Coming to number 17 is the first Thor movie. Now, this first movie is a great start to the trilogy. But the reason why this is number 18 is because the camera angle, like Battlefield Earth, does get distracting. I do think the movie does have a little bit of slow pace, and I also feel like that some of the stuff Darcy says is a little annoying, but I think Darcy is an underrated character. I don't think she's too annoying. I liked Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I love Natalie Portman in this movie. The acting is still great. And Kenneth Branagh's direction, I think, is really solid here. And the music here is really cool. And it does set up a pretty good trilogy that wasn't critically acclaimed to begin with. But I like this one and The Dark World. But I really do think that Thor is one of the more underrated films in Marvel's Phase 1. But we'll get to that one when I get to it. And Thor is a pretty interesting MCU movie, and it's fun. Thor is a great start to the Thor trilogy. I don't like the whole tilted camera thing that happens at times, but Kenneth Branagh did a good job directing. Chris Hemsworth is a great choice for Thor. Loved Natalie Portman. I loved Tom Hiddleston. Loved the entire cast. Kat Dennings as Darcy is only annoying in a few scenes, but she is very funny, and it's a great film. I like it. Coming to number 17 is The Incredible Hulk. Now, I will say this is a better movie than the 2003 Hulk, but I like both Hulk movies for different reasons. I like all the Hulk actors. Edward Norton, I think he's good in the role as Bruce Banner, but there are moments where I can tell he's kind of phoning it in. I do like Liv Tyler's Betty Ross. I like William Hurt. I think Tim Roth is pretty good. The CGI on the Abomination doesn't really hold up, but the CGI on the Hulk looks really cool, and you got Lou Ferrigno's voice in here. And when the action with the Hulk does happen, I am invested into the action that goes on over the course of the movie. The music by Craig Armstrong is really cool. I do like the title sequence that shows the origin story and flashbacks. And I really do think that this is the underrated one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Phase 1. And Edward Norton may not have been the Hulk for the other movies that Hulk was in, but I will say Edward Norton, he did a pretty good job, and I do love the end credit scene with Robert Downey Jr. So, number 17, The Incredible Hulk. Great film. The Incredible Hulk is my least favorite of Phase 1, but as the second film in the MCU, it's a pretty good Hulk movie. Edward Norton is okay as Bruce Banner in the Hulk. I do love Liv Tyler's Betty Ross. The Abomination can be fixed a little bit, but the action and the story and the direction and the music is what keeps this movie afloat from me hating it. Coming in number 16, we have Iron Man 2. Everyone just hates and hates and hates on this movie. I don't understand why the negativity towards this movie is where it is, but I do think, yeah, it may not be as strong as the first Iron Man, but it's my favorite of the Iron Man trilogy. I like Whiplash, Ivan Vanko, Mickey Rourke. The introduction of Black Widow is pretty great. Nick Fury's introduction was great. I will agree that the way they handled the alcoholic thing with Tony Stark is not well that the best handle, but I think Jon Favreau really did a good job with what he was given. And the setup for the Avengers, I really do like how they start here. Robert Downey Jr. still has the awesomeness here. Gwyneth Paltrow is still great as Pepper Potts, but she gets a little annoying in parts. Don Cheadle takes over for Terrence Howard, and I really did like Don Cheadle, and I like the War Machine suit, and I do love the scene where Iron Man and War Machine fight off Vanko and his villains. So, and the post-credit scene with Thor's hammer is really cool, and the soundtrack is really nice by John Debney, and the songs by AC/DC. So, Iron Man 2 is pretty underrated. Iron Man 2 may have a lot of Avengers setting up, but you have to start somewhere with the Avengers setup. Still my favorite of the Iron Man trilogy. I really enjoy it. Robert Downey Jr. is pretty great. The introduction of Black Widow is awesome. Whiplash is a pretty fantastic villain. The action is still great, and there's a lot more good things than bad things in Iron Man 2. So, it's not that bad. Coming to number 15 is Captain America: The First Avenger. This is my second favorite of the Captain America movies. I think this is a really good Captain America movie. It's way better than the Captain America movie from the 1990s. Chris Hemsworth was a great choice to play Captain America Steve Rogers. He embodies the character with all he's given. I like Hugo Weaving as Red Skull, Sebastian Stan, Derek Luke, Tommy Lee Jones. They're all really good. I like Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. The direction by Joe Johnston is really good. I like the cinematography, the way this movie looks in the World War veteran setting. The scene where he's dancing on stage, some people say that wasn't needed, but I thought it was neat. And the emotional moments between him and Peggy, I thought were really cool. And Peggy does have her awesome moments. And the ending of this movie is heartfelt. I do like the heartfelt ending, but it is bittersweet at best. So, Captain America: The First Avenger is really cool, and the trailer for the Avengers is shown at the end of the movie. That was a cool tease. Looking back at Captain America: The First Avenger, it is a amazing film. It is a great start to the trilogy. I love Chris Evans as Captain America. Peggy Carter is a badass. Red Skull is an amazing villain, and just the sequels, it gets better. America. Coming to number 14, you have Thor: The Dark World. Now, everyone just despises this movie for one reason or the other, but I don't really hate Thor: The Dark World. I actually love Thor: The Dark World. I think in some ways, it is an improvement over the first one in terms of the camera angles, in terms of the way it's shot, in terms of the action, in terms of the cool factor. Darcy is still pretty cool. I still like Lady Sif in this and the first one, even though I felt like they were underused. I still like the love story between Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth. I think the acting is still great. The villain, he may not be the best villain in the MCU, but I think Christopher Eccleston as Malekith, I think he does fine with what he's given, and I think he really outshines, really stands on his own. If he were better writing, he could have been a better built villain, but for the most part, the action on Asgard and the way Asgard looks is pretty cool, and you get to see all the other characters like Idris Elba, Zachary Levi, and you do have some great humor in here, and you have some good, intense, emotional, darker moments here. And I really do think that Thor: The Dark World is pretty underrated. It's just too bad that Lady Sif didn't get to return for Thor Ragnarok, but what can you do? Thor: The Dark World, it is as good as the first Thor, except for the villain, Malekith. Darcy can get a little annoying at times, and there are some parts of the movie that does drag, but Chris Hemsworth and the cast still stands out, and the directing is pretty good. It's just a shame that with Thor Ragnarok, it just had a missed opportunity. Coming to number 13, we have Doctor Strange. Now, this movie was one of my least anticipated of 2016, and I had no hope for the film, but I decided to try and be optimistic and give it a chance. And the first time, I really loved the movie. Second time, I loved it, but not as much as I did the first time. Third time, I look at the movie from a critical point on the fans who didn't like it, and I did find some problems. But then on the fourth time, I looked at it as my own personal opinion as a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan. So it took me 4 watches to really appreciate this movie, because this was a character I never heard of before. And he has the power of magic, and I really liked it. I loved the characterization of Doctor Strange here. You do have some very mind-trippy moments in here that are really great. Rachel McAdams is great for her small part. The villain is a pretty, you have a pretty weak generic villain. Chiwetel Ejiofor is great here. Tilda Swinton, while she is great here, I didn't really care too much for her in here. The movie does have it does get very slow, and it gets a little boring, but that's because it's its origin story. I do like the action. I do love the music in here. I do love Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Doctor Strange. And I think this is a really cool film. It's a very surprising movie. And I'm looking forward to seeing where they will take the character after Infinity War Part 2 for his standalone sequel in the MCU. As someone who didn't know a lot about Doctor Strange, I have to say this movie surprised me on the first 2 times. Third time, I had a little bit of a mixed result. Fourth time, I went back to loving the movie. I don't like the villain. The movie does have a lack of action, and it does get caught up in the crossfire, but it's a good movie. Coming to number 12, we have Marvel's Avengers Infinity War Part 1. Not Avengers Infinity War. I'm going by the original titles for both Avengers 3 and Avengers 4. Avengers Infinity War Part 1, if you've seen my review of it, I geeked out about how much I loved the film. I really thought the film was great. It is a pretty overstuffed movie, but I love seeing all these characters for the first time getting together to take down Thanos. Josh Brolin did a great job as Thanos. I really liked him. I thought all the acting in this movie from everyone, from Robert Downey Jr. to Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson to Elizabeth Olsen to Tom Holland, they all did a really good job. Chadwick Boseman once again did great as Black Panther. The final battle on Wakanda, that's my favorite part of the film. Baby Groot, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're funny here. You do have some pretty hard-hitting moments, such as Loki dying in the beginning, Gamora dying. But Thanos, he's a villain who's not going to kid around. He is willing to kill anyone who stands his way. My only nitpicks that I said in my review was that I felt like the movie could have went on for at least a little bit more, because I was enjoying the movie too much. And also, I thought Ant-Man and Hawkeye, not Hulk, Ant-Man and Hawkeye, I felt like they were kind of missed here, but it's alright. They're going to be in Avengers Infinity War Part 2, or in Avengers 4, if you want, whatever you want to call it. And I'm still not a fan of the way this movie ends, with all the characters getting half of the characters getting wiped out. And the cliffhanger ending, I'm not really a fan of it here. The cliffhanger ending, the more I think about it, the more I start to dislike it. But I don't really hate. But it didn't take away how much I really loved the movie. And I also thought the cliffhanger is just like, hey, see you next year. So I kind of felt like this was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Avengers Infinity War Part 2 next year is going to be Deathly Hallows Part 2 of the MCU. But Avengers Infinity War, I thought, was great. It was awesome. And this is a very divisive movie towards critics and fans. You have your critics who love the film, you have the critics who like the film, and you have the critics who hate the film. And then you have fans who love the movie, thought the movie was okay, or hated it. But the majority wins, and that is the audience. So, audiences, you really enjoyed the movie, and the movie is almost on its way to making $2 billion. So it will be joining the $2 billion club with Avatar and Titanic and The Force Awakens in a few days. Avengers Infinity War is awesome, great. 10 years, 18 previous movies, all these characters here together for the first time. Fighting off against Thanos, acting is great, action is great, the direction is handled, there's very awesome comedy here. Not a big fan of the ending, but I'm not too upset about the ending because anyone who got killed will be back in the next one. Go see it. Coming to number 11, we have Black Panther. Now, from the moment they introduced this character in Captain America Civil War, I was interested in seeing the character's origin story, especially from the trailers and the director, Ryan Coogler, because he directed Creed. And the movie was really fun, really entertaining. I thought Black Panther was great. I thought it was awesome. Chadwick Boseman killed it as Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan was really great as Killmonger. Some people say he's whiny because he's lost his dad. I can see that, but it doesn't take away how much of an awesome villain he played. He played Killmonger to the best of his abilities. I also loved the other supporting cast of Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, everyone here did a good job. I think the direction here is really good. It was great seeing Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman in the same movie together since they were in the Hobbit trilogy and Lord of the Rings respectively. The direction by Ryan Coogler I thought was really great. I thought the writing was very strong. I did think some of the CGI could have been a little better, and I did think the film got a little slow, but it didn't take away how much I was enjoying the Black Panther movie, and I have fun with Black Panther. And the soundtrack, I really love the soundtrack. Not everyone is a fan of hip-hop. I am a fan of hip-hop music, and I like the soundtrack to Black Panther, and I love the musical score here. And I'm curious to see where they're going to go next for Black Panther 2. And, yeah, that's how I feel about the first Black Panther movie. Black Panther, still freaking awesome. Fantastic film. Chadwick Boseman is the man. Michael B. Jordan is awesome as Killmonger. This is a far better movie than Thor Ragnarok. I really enjoy how this movie is handled. It stands on its own terms, and you can even watch it with the MCU. Love the end credit scene, by the way. Awesome. Coming to number 10, we have the one that started it all, and that is Iron Man. Now, a lot of people were very skeptical on this movie before it came out because Jon Favreau never did a big budget movie, and Robert Downey Jr. had a very tough situation with his career. We won't say what it is, but when this movie came out, everyone went to see it. They blew up. They didn't know this was going to be part of something big. I didn't even know. But the first film with Iron Man, I thought was really great. Robert Downey Jr. does a great job as Tony Stark. Iron Man, I love the suits. I like the villain, Ironmonger, played by Jeff Bridges. Gwyneth Paltrow and Terrence Howard did a great job. I really thought Jon Favreau's direction was really cool. I think the origin story was well done. I love the special effects here. And for 2008, you had a lot of superhero movies in 2008. You had this movie, you had The Incredible Hulk, you had The Dark Knight, and 2008 was a really cool year for superhero movies, especially the introduction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I really do appreciate that this movie started this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm very pleased with how the movie turned out when I saw it. So, Iron Man 1 is number 10. Iron Man 1, freaking good start to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Great start for what would become this huge, awesome phenomenon. Robert Downey Jr. is the greatest Iron Man. Jon Favreau did a great job. I love the villain. I have no flaws with this movie whatsoever. It is a masterpiece of cinema. And I mean it. Now, coming in number 9, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Now, I was excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 when they showed the Super Bowl trailer back in 2014. I didn't know who they were, but I was curious to find out. So, when the movie came out, I watched it, and I have to say, this movie is still funny. It's like the Star Wars of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they're in space a lot. The beginning of this movie is really emotional. I really do like the beginning of the movie. I love the development of the characters, mainly Star-Lord. You don't get much development of the other Guardians, but I really think they played their part well. I loved Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, Zoe Saldana did a great job as Gamora, Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper as Groot and Rocket Raccoon were great. I like Drax the Destroyer, played by Dave Bautista. I like the other characters as well, including Nebula for her little screen time. You get a scene with Thanos there. You get some cool action here. And the Collector is pretty cool. I will say the Collector is a weak villain, but you do have some great humor by James Gunn, great direction, great emotion, great soundtrack, great score, and just a lot of pretty awesome moments in this movie that I really do enjoy. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is my number 9. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is still great, still awesome ever since its August 2014 release. Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, everyone does a great job in here. Rocket Raccoon is hilarious. Not a fan of the villain, love the soundtrack. Everything in this movie is perfection. Except for the villain could have been a little better, but still a freaking awesome movie. Now at number 8, in my updated Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking, we have Captain America Civil War, which is the final film in the Captain America trilogy. And it is my least favorite of the trilogy, but I have to say, I was pretty impressed with this. Some people say this is Avengers 2.5 before you get to Infinity War. In a lot of ways, it does feel more like an Avengers movie. But I appreciate the different, decision to go that route for the last Captain America movie. It's the third in the series, and you might as well do something different. I liked seeing this whole conflict between both Team Iron Man, Team Captain America, and then the Avengers get separated, and then they fight against each other, which leads to an awesome airport scene. And then the introduction of Black Panther, I thought was really cool. And then the Spider-Man, he got his redemption. And Tom Holland is my second favorite Spider-Man actor, right next to Tobey Maguire. And the action is great. Russo brothers did a good job with it. Zemo, he's an okay villain. I take him or leave him. I think Agent 13 got underused again, and it took some time, but I do like the twist. I used to really hate the twist ending of this movie, solely because it was Bucky who killed Tony's parents. But now I've gotten more nicer about it, and did some thinking, and now I appreciate the twist more. So Captain America Civil War is a really great film. Yes, Captain America Civil War feels more like an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie, but I actually like that idea. Love the airport fight scene. Civil War just is one of Marvel's best. It is my least favorite of the Captain America trilogy, but it was great to see Spider-Man get redeemed, and Black Panther's introduction was great. Coming to number 7, we have Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the 6th film overall in the Spider-Man series, and is the second Spider-Man reboot. And this was one of my favorites, 2017. What more can I say that I haven't said? This is real. This is a really fun Spider-Man movie. It felt like the Sam Raimi trilogy again, and it was a breath of fresh air after a lot of people were very negative and very mixed towards the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which one of them I dislike, and I don't dislike it, but the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is just and Amazing Spider-Man 2 I do love, but I prefer the Raimi films and Spider-Man Homecoming. And Tom Holland does great Spider-Man. I love the comedy here written. 6 different writers wrote this movie, and that they all made the script work. The action is really cool. I do love the score by Michael Giacchino. I love the costume. I know people have a problem with the costume because it's more enhanced. I like it. Robert Downey Jr. seeing him as the mentor of Peter was really good. I like Zendaya. I like Michael Keaton as the Vulture. He's gonna be in the sequel. I like Donald Glover. Marissa Tomei was really great as Aunt May or Hot May, and the twist with Liz Allen being Michael Keaton's daughter. I didn't see it coming, but this movie took a risk, and it brought back the character from a fate worse than death. And I have to praise Marvel and Sony for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Spider-Man Homecoming 2 has in store. And it may not be in the MCU, but I'm looking forward to Spider-Verse way more than Venom. So, Spider-Man Homecoming, number 7. Spider-Man Homecoming is not just my favorite movie in Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but this is my second favorite Spider-Man movie. It does everything the Amazing Spider-Man reboot did not. It treated this character like a lighthearted character. It returned this character back to his former roots. I can't wait for the sequel. Vulture is a great villain, and the twist, didn't see it coming. Coming in number 6 is Captain America the Winter Soldier. Now, some people will say this is their favorite MCU movie. It's not my favorite MCU movie, but it is my favorite in the Captain America trilogy. It does what a sequel is supposed to do. It not only expands on the first one, but it also manages to be better than the first one. I do like the new introductions of Robert Redford's character. I like Agent 13, her introduction. I really liked how they was able to make Haley Atwell look like she's older and she's dying of Alzheimer's disease. I thought that was an emotional moment. It was great seeing Samuel Jackson and Colby Smulders in here. That's always great to see those two. Black Widow got a lot to do in here. We got Falcon in here. So much greatness in here. The directing, the writing is more of a political thriller, if you can recall. But I really do think that there's a lot of entertaining aspects to it, and the twist at the end of this movie is really great. And the whole scene with you find out about Hydra, that scene, really good stuff. Great acting, great cinematography, and sometimes my only problem is the shaky camera gets a little annoying for an MCU movie because it moves around way too quickly. But Captain America the Winter Soldier is a great second installment in Captain America's trilogy. Captain America the Winter Soldier is the best Captain America movie in the series and my third favorite in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like the villain, I like Crossbones. It's great seeing Black Widow and Steve Rogers team up. Falcon was an awesome introduction. It's pretty amazing seeing Maria Hill, and the twist, you did not see it coming from a mile away. Coming to number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, this may surprise people because it's not lower on my ranking. I don't care. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 gets a lot of unnecessary flack, and I don't think it's deserving. I really don't. The only thing I'll give this negatives I'll give you with this movie is that, yeah, the soundtrack may not be as strong as the first one, but I think it's pretty darn strong. The whole twist with Ego, I really do like that. The Kurt Russell de-aging in his sequence, I really like. I like Kurt Russell as Star-Lord's dad. And you got more development for the other Guardians this time around for Rocket Raccoon, Baby Groot. You get more time, screen chemistry with Nebula and Gamora, Karen Gillan, Zoe Saldana. You get introduced to new worlds, new characters like Mantis and the Golden People. I really like that. There's a lot of funniness in here. James Gunn still proved that he got it. The writing's still good. I think the direction's still good. And I just think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is just way too trashed and hated on. And I think it doesn't deserve it. I did a 60-minute defense on this movie, which is also my review. If you want to check that out, you can check it out. But anyways, I really do think there's more good than bad with this movie. And that is a fact. Despite a villain I don't really care too much for, some jokes that doesn't land very well, Guardians of the Galaxy is just as good as the first one. I love the story, I like the connection between the father and son, and I love the sister connection between Karen Gillan and Zoe Saldana. And Baby Groot is very cute. So, it's underrated. And number 4 is Marvel's The Avengers. This was the first time all of these characters came together. Well, not all of them, just Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor, Captain America. And I was really excited about it from everything I was seeing of the film, the trailers, and then when I first watched the movie, I had a smile on my face. I was really happy with the film. I thought it was great. Joss Whedon, he knows how to handle an ensemble cast and a direction. And I do feel for him because he is getting a lot of hate for Justice League. But somebody has to finish that movie. I'm sorry. But Marvel's The Avengers, I thought was great. Loki was an awesome villain. I thought the effects and the music and the action was really good. The last half of the movie with the Battle of New York City is really cool. I love seeing Samuel Jackson, Colby Smulders in here, and Clark Gregg is Phil Coulson. You think he's dead, but he's not. But apparently something's going to happen to him in Season 6. I don't know what, but we're going to have to wait to find that out in Season 6 of next year. But I love Marvel's The Avengers. Is an awesome start to the main Avengers series, not the MCU, the main Avengers series, quadrilogy. The first Avengers, great start to the Avengers quadrilogy, great interaction between all the characters. Loki is a very awesome villain. Joss Whedon wrote and directed the heck out of this movie. The final battle is the best part of the movie. Really like seeing Nick Fury, Agent Coulson, and Maria Hill in this one. And it was something magnificent. At number 3, we have Iron Man 3. Now, Iron Man 3, the only thing I will give this movie is that it does slow down a little bit. And the Mandarin twist, you kind of screwed up the Mandarin, but I thought this was this was also pretty good too. I don't know why a lot of people don't like it. I can see why some people are mad at this movie because of the Mandarin twist, but I think there's a lot more entertaining value to it. You have Shane Black's direction and writing. I think it was a good choice. Not the best choice, but it was a good choice. I still think the acting from Robert Downey Jr., Don Cheadle, and Gwyneth Paltrow is pretty great. I still think the action is good, especially in the last half of the movie with all the Iron Man suits just come in and fight Guy Pearce's character. And it does have its humor, but it has darker moments. And for that, I have to say, I have to applaud Iron Man 3 for that. And it's really awesome sequel. It could have been a little better if you didn't do that whole Mandarin twist and all that. But Iron Man 3 is just, yeah, it's another underrated one. Iron Man 3 is a entertaining end to the Iron Man trilogy. Very entertaining sequences. Robert Downey Jr. steals the show. I'm not a fan of the Mandarin twist. I don't mind Guy Pearce. I don't mind Rebecca Hall. The last act where all the Iron Man suits come out and fight, that was really cool. And it's a good ending to the trilogy. Coming to number 2 is Ant-Man. Now, Ant-Man, I was pretty curious about, but I didn't know who this character was. And now I do, after seeing this movie. He's pretty cool. Now, I do know the production stuff with Edgar Wright and stuff, but I thought Paul Rudd, he did a good job with the character, and he also wrote the film, and he's also writing the second one. And I have to say that I really did think that Ant-Man was great. I love Ant-Man. I love the Baskin-Robbins joke. Paul Rudd did a good job. Scott Lang, Evangeline Lilly did a good job as Hope Van Dyne. Michael Douglas was great. The villain I don't really care too much for, even though the actor is good. I like all the acting in this movie. I like the comedy. I like it's something different, and I really do enjoy the aspects of what they were doing here. It was doing something a little different, and Ant-Man, the first one, is just great. Despite the villain, despite a little bit of slow parts, Ant-Man is going at number 2, and it still remains at number 2. After its July 2015 release, anytime I catch this movie, I still enjoy it. Paul Rudd was great as Ant-Man. I love the direction. I like Michael Douglas' performance. Evangeline Lilly as the daughter of Michael Douglas was pretty awesome. The villain is iffy, but it still has a good entertaining value. Now, if you know my number 1, you already know that my number 1 favorite MCU movie is Avengers Age of Ultron. I know a lot of people do not like this. I know there's people who say this is the worst MCU movie, but it isn't. I don't think it is. I thought it was just as good as the first one. I even thought it was better than the first one, to be honest. It's the most underrated MCU film, and it's the most underrated MCU sequel. And it's the overlooked child in Age of Ultron. A lot of people thought Ultron was going to be darker from the trailers, but that's not the case with the movie. He is darker, but he does have moments of being funny, and I have to say, James Spader did a really good job as Ultron. The way he looks and the CGI and motion capture that goes into it. You also get introduced to Vision here, played by Paul Bettany. I thought he was really good. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, they're pretty cool. And it did introduce me to my favorite MCU female character, which I give this movie a lot of credit for. Quicksilver does die, so don't expect to see him in Infinity War. And I like the romance between Hulk and Black Widow. I take it over Hawkeye and Black Widow. That's kind of weird because Hawkeye has a family in this one, Ultron is not a joke. He will do what he wants to stop Earth's extinction. I like the cast works well with each other. We were supposed to get an extended cut of this, but that's not going to happen. But Avengers Age of Ultron is one of my favorites 2015, and this is my favorite Avengers film and my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film. And it's going to remain that way even when AntMan and the Wasp comes out. But yeah. So, not much more to say on Age of Ultron. Avengers Age of Ultron, still my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, still my favorite of the 3 Avengers movies, and still my favorite of Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Great introduction to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Ultron, pretty entertaining villain. Awesome action. Cool intensity. Joss Whedon outdid himself with this one. So that was my complete MCU ranking with the Rotten Tomatoes stuff, my Stardust reactions, and my own personal thoughts on each movie in the MCU franchise. Looking forward to AntMan and the Wasp when it comes out in July. Tell me your ranking down below. I'll see you guys in our video. Thanks. If you follow me on Stardust, you will be able to appear in a future video. I'll explain more in a little bit of a channel update. But yeah. So I have to say, I'll see you guys. This is Fish from Actor 940, and you guys keep it cool.